Hello everybody and welcome to Rimworld. Now this is a game that I have seen Avak play on stream quite a few times, but until very recently I hadn't played it myself. So at the moment I am very new to this game, and I'd like you guys to come with me on my journey to learn how it all works. So any advice you guys can give, please leave in the comments. Okay, so I've started just because I wanted to have a little bit of time to go through the characters and everything. I've done all of that off camera and created my world off camera. So we are here in my new colony of Rimworld. We are here now, and we have just landed our spaceship. So the three of you awake in your crypto sleep sarcophagi to the sound of sirens and ripping metal. You barely get to the escape pods before the ship is torn apart. Sometime later, you land on this unknown Rimworld, and as pieces of the shredded starship fall around you, you start making plans to survive. So I'm going to hit OK and we're going to start the game. Here we are. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that I've got the game paused, because there's a few things that I'm going to want to do to start with. Okay. So firstly, let's see where my colonists are. See what we've got around us. We've got some boom rats. And this is all the debris that looks like it's come off the ship. And hopefully somewhere we should have some colonists. I may need to just play it a little. I may need to wait for them. Ah, here they come in their little capsules. Okay, here we are. So we've got our colonists. Now, at the moment, this is a vanilla playthrough that I'm doing. Okay, so to all intents and purposes, this is unmodded. But I do have one mod installed, which is just to make the interface a little bit easier for me while I'm learning to play the game. And so I've got EdB Interface installed here, and it just gives me these little things like, it gives me little things like my resources down the side, and it just makes it a lot easier to select the colonists because they've got their little windows, which you don't have in the base game. Just makes it a lot easier for me because I'm very new to the game and I find it very hard to select people and things like that. So I find this makes it so much easier. And you guys might want to check it out as well. I'll probably put a link in the description box so that you can get that if you feel that this is something that might help your playthrough as well. Okay, so because I didn't show you setup, I think I need to show you who all of my characters are. So if we just go in here. So we have our first settler, it's called Ed. Okay. And he is an herb world urchin. So the herb worlds are ancient and deep industrial cityscapes bursting with humanity and poison. And Ed grew up in the dark, unwanted reaches of such a place. He had to fight for every scrap of food. So he has lived quite a tough life. So because of that, he knows how to fight. So he's got +2 to shooting and +4 to melee. Then when he grew up, he became a colony settler. So he left his underworld urchin sort of background and he became a colony settler. He got out. So he was a settler on a new colony world, and such a life requires a jack of all trades at basic hands-on tasks. So he's good at construction, growing and mining, which is really good to start off with. So I chose some good ones. There's nothing he's incapable of, but he is psychically dull, so he doesn't get affected by psychic phenomenon very well. And he's also a cold lover, so I'm going to have to watch out in this playthrough to make sure that he's cool enough. Okay, so our next character, we go on, is Hugh Townsend, and he is a 16-year-old, so he's very young. Colonist, and he started off his life as a medieval slave. So he grew up pulling carts and digging holes on a medieval world, and simple manual labour is his oldest companion, along with the master's lash. He didn't learn to read until age 9. So he gets -3 to research there because he can't read very well. But he's very good at mining, growing and construction because he's obviously done all of that while he was a slave. Then when he became an adult, he was a military commissar. He was an internal spy master in an Imperial Army battalion. He made sure that the men were loyal and didn't fall back unless ordered. This made him unpopular, but he gained great skill at detecting the slightest dishonesty. And that gives him +3 to his shooting. Okay, so he is too smart, so he's good at learning, but he can be a bit eccentric on the downside. He's trigger happy, so he is a terrible shot, but he doesn't care because guns are awesome. So he loves guns. So he'll shoot really fast, but he won't shoot very accurately. And he's an optimist, so he has a good mood all the time. Well, a boost to his mood anyway. And so my last person is Lubov Arnold, who is 24. He started off as a sickly child. So as a child, Lubov suffered from a rare disease, quarantined in a research hospital. She's a girl. She had minimal human contact and got little physical exercise. In the sterile hospital environment, however, she became very familiar with science and medicine. So she's a good medic. She might be a good one for my doctor. So she is +5 to medicine, -2 to construction and social and melee, but she's +4 to research. So she'd be a good doctor scientist. And in her adulthood, she is an herb world entrepreneur. In the herb world, most suffer, but someone has to run the corporations. Lubov learned the skills of the trade, greasing palms and technical analysis. She is a socio-intellectual machine. So she's good at social and she's very good at research. So she's got 2 research boosts there. So her research is actually at 9, which is really, really good. She is psychically deaf, so she absolutely, you can blast her with psychic waves and she will absolutely not do anything. And she's also teetotaler, so I can't use alcohol to make her happy, unfortunately, but at least she won't get addicted to that sort of thing. So that's my 3 guys. That's how they are to start with. So what I'm going to need to do now is to have a think about what sort of jobs I'm going to have them do once the base starts to get built. So we'll have a quick look at what's set at the moment. So at the moment, they're all set to firefight. We've got manual priorities on. We want manual, yeah. So what I've done there is I've turned on priorities with sort of numbers. And this just helps me tell them what to do and in what order. Now, the way this works, I'm sure you guys all probably know better than me anyway, if you've played the game, but if you haven't, the way it works is that from left to right, if all of these were left on 3, okay, then from left to right would be the order they would do this in. So say Ed's got firefight at 3, he would fight a fire before he went to see a patient, before he went to handle animals, and he'd do that before he cooked, he'd do that before he hunted, etc., etc. What I can then do with this is I can change the priorities. So say if I wanted him to clean before he did firefighting, I could put cleaning up to, say, priority 1, and that would be the first thing he'd do. There could be a fire raging next door, but if there was some dirt on the floor, he'd go in and clean it. So that's the idea there. So I think I said that we wanted Lubov as our doctor and our researcher. So I'm going to put those both to 1. Okay, and that way she will deal with patients first, and then she'll research, and then she'll do everything else. The other thing that I sometimes do, that was just before I forgot to do it, to be honest, and we'll put his cleaning back to like 3 because I don't think he needs to be doing that as a priority. So that was just because I noticed that she was a good scientist and medic, so I thought that I'd pop those in there before I forgot. Now, one thing that I will generally do with this is I'm going to be putting firefight to 1 for all of them. Because I think it's the most important thing is if the base is on fire, they need to deal with that right now. I'm also going to put flick to 1 for all of them. And the reason for that is if I want to switched. I want it done now. So I want that done as well. Okay, so what else have we got? So we've got someone doctoring as a priority. Patient. So we need... Everyone's about the same for that. So patients rest in medical beds if they need to receive treatment or recover from illness. So is that them being a patient? Or is that them helping a patient. I'm not sure. I'll leave that one for now. Warden. So if we get prisoners in the base, we'll need a good warden. Now Lubov is far and away the best warden we have. I'm going to put that to 1 for her as well. So she's a doctor, a scientist, and a warden at the moment. Okay. Now, Ed and Lubov are both the same at their animal handling. So I'm going to give that one as a priority to Ed. And I'm going to give it a low priority to Lubov. Now, cooking. Got him as a 4, or 1, and a 1. So animal handling and cooking. He can do cooking as well. Hunting. 7, 2.5, and 1. Can't give him everything. What is Hugh actually good at? He's good at shooting. He's good at construction, so he'll have a good construction. You're good at growing. Bear in mind, he'll firefight, flick, handle animals, cook, then he'll grow. Now, that might be an issue because I might put these down to 2. Because I do want him to grow before he does handling and cooking. I might change that around a little bit if we start finding that there's tons and tons and tons of ingredients sat in storage, but no one's cooking them, then I will change that. In fact, it's a good idea, honestly, to constantly be coming back to this screen, because I found that sometimes things happen and you're like, why is there no food? And it'll be some sort of bottleneck based on the priorities that you've put in here. Okay, so growing 4, 6. You know something? I'm actually going to put Hugh onto growing as well, because he's got that as a passion, so he's going to learn it really fast. So I think that maybe I might even swap their priorities around. I'll think about that. So who's our best miner? Ed again. Ed needs to do everything in the whole base. No one else can. Gee. Who's the best cleaner? They're all the same at cleaning. Okay. And they're all the same at hauling. And they're all pretty rubbish at art. Okay. Hugh, you can be our artist. Oh, and actually, you know what? I'll give that to Lubov. Lubov can be an artist. Because at least she has a passion to learn it. Whereas the other 2 don't even care and they've got like 2 out of 20. So that's not great. This is a thing as well with doctoring. He's got rubbish doctoring, but he really wants to learn it. Okay, so construction, repairing. Right, no, we're not going to have you do that. You're rubbish at them. Okay, so we've got firefighting, doctor. I think I'm fairly sure they need to be quite a high priority for being a patient. Because I think if they're hurt, that means they go to their beds. I will check that out between the episodes and make sure that that's the right thing. But I do want them to try and stay in their beds if they are sick, so that they will get better and not die. That's always handy. Okay, so animal handling. Yeah, we don't need people to be doing that all the time. We definitely need someone to construct all the time if we can. So 1, 6, 7. Construction and repair is your job, Hugh. So those are just the standard ones. So the first things he'll really do will be constructing and repairing. I think that's good. So mining, who's good at mining? That's Ed. But Ed's doing an awful lot of the Oh, well, they're all doing an awful lot of stuff, so you can be the miner as well. I hope we get a new person soon, so I can spread some of these jobs out. They've got an awful lot to do. So plant cutting, 3, 3, and 3. Right, Hugh, you're our plant cutter as well. Trying to just spread these out as much as I can. Ed can be on it as a minor task as well. Smithing. We do not have a good smith. Lubov's probably the best, so we'll put her on that. Tailoring, 4, 1, and 3. Alright, Ed, that's yours. Got an artist. Crafts, 4, 1, 3. Ed, you can do crafts as well. I've probably got too many priority ones here, because he'll craft before he handles and cooks. I don't want that. I want him to craft after that. I probably also want him to tailor after he does all that, but he needs to grow. And put mining down to 2. He's a backup for constructing and repairing. Hunting, that needs to be higher, I think. So he'll grow. He'll firefight, patient, flick, grow. Then he'll handle, cook, hunt, tailor, craft. Then he'll construct and repair. But there's someone else constructing and repairing as a priority, so that's fine. Then they'll haul and clean. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Sorry, that takes a little while to set up, but hopefully if we've done a good job at it, that should help us quite a lot as we play through. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is to select all of these things that have fallen out of the spaceship and unforbid them. Let the colonists know that they can interact with these things. So we're doing all of this before we've even let them move in the game. What's that? This one. Because I don't want... Got some guns and things there. Now, next thing I'm going to do is we've got a few weapons. We have Perseus, a Yorkshire Terrier. We have a Yorkshire Terrier as a pet. That's so cool. So what I want to do is to try and find out who likes to shoot, who's good at shooting. And there's also a knife there. So we always seem to start with a pistol, a rifle, and a knife. So I need to find out who I think would benefit the most from that. So the best shooter is usually a good one to give the rifle to. Someone who's alright at shooting but maybe needs a bit of practice is good for a pistol, and someone who's maybe like down as being a brawler or something like that is always good as a for having their knife and not to have a gun at all. So let's see. Let's go to the character and see what you shoot. So Ed is a 6 at shooting and an 8 at melee. Not particularly a brawler or anything like that. Hugh is a 3 at shooting and a 2 at melee. And Lubov is just rubbish at everything and should never fight anyone ever. Okay. Lubov, you're getting the knife. Ed, you're getting the gun. It would help if I right-clicked. You are getting the gun. And Hugh, you are getting the pistol. Right, so we're all equipped with that. So the next thing that I want to do is to try and sort of work out where I want the base to be. I've got actually quite a nice part there that would be easy enough to wall off. And then I've got this existing wall here that I could sort of put some walls against. And that would give me a quite nice big area to start to sort of set up in. I'm just having a look to see if I can see any sort of fertile looking soil as well. So when I'm looking around, down here in this sort of bottom left hand corner, it tells you sort of what everything is and whether you've got some good soil or rich soil or anything like that. It's all just grass and bush. Up here, however, we have some mud. So I would just like to rich soil up here. So possibly, actually, we're possibly not in the best place for farming where we are. We don't really have any rich soil that I can see at all. It's all sandstone, grass. It's all very, very, very barren terrain for growing crops on. However, up here, we do have some better soil. You can see it's just soil, 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 soil. And if you go up here, that second line down starts saying rich soil. All around here. So this is where we want to go to put our crops. Or even possibly, is there some here? No, that's sandstone. And I know this is taking a little while, but I do think that choosing the right spot to settle is very important. The only thing that I don't like about that is that there's a really sort of... Oh, what are they? Boomalopes. Oh, very interesting. But there's a very big gap there that I've got to try and hem in to sort of claim that area as my own. So I don't like that very much either. What's over here? Mud again. An undiscovered thing over there. Well, I think what I might do for now then is to set up the base where I said I would, which is here. And maybe get some farming going just in a sort of just in the normal soil. And then I'll try and expand once we have a few more materials up into this area and try and move the farmland over. Probably, I don't know whether that's the best tactic, but we'll go with that for now. Right. Because I expect that we could just claim this little bit of land as part of our base as well and just have the whole thing and it'll be lovely. And I might even, rather than digging into the mountainside, just build some houses sort of out in the open for once. Okay, so I think we are nearly ready to start going. It's probably going to be the end of the episode now. Okay. Right, so the first thing I think that I would like everyone to do, first thing I'm going to do anyway, is to make a stockpile zone. And I'll probably build some walls around this in just a second, but I'm just going to pop it over here. And I'm going to make it quite big. Maybe not quite that big. Maybe like a 5 by 5 would be good to start with. Then I can make a little room there. Actually, I'll make... No. Yeah, okay, we'll make a little room around that. So let's make a wall. So to make a wall, you go to structure. You go to wall. You go to wood. And I can say build some wooden walls around my storehouse. Then I can say build a door. That's going to be my first storehouse. Now I think to do that I'm going to possibly need to cut down some trees. But at least because it's been designated there, they'll start to at least bring all of the things that are on the ground over to some sort of store area, and because they do get decay on the floor. Okay, so we're actually going to let them go now. I'm going to let them run around. And hope that they have some time just to start things off before we get raided or anything like that. So Lubov's got her medical supplies. You can see she's the doctor. And there's survival meals as well. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do going to pause again. And I'm going to actually start making some farmland. So I need some growing zones. And I'm just going to put these anywhere where there's soil, basically, because it's really not a very good piece of land. So have we just got soil here? Can't tell because this is in the way. Yeah, so this is just normal soil. We can still grow on here, but I expect that it will be slower. So we'll make some nice big growing patches, just 5x5s I think we'll do for now. 5x5, 6x5, that's 5x5, 5x5, 5x5. And we'll grow a few things here, so I need to just go to the growing section. And that's growing potatoes at the moment. I'm happy with that. This one, it's also growing potatoes. So we don't want everything to be growing potatoes. One good thing to grow is strawberries, because they don't need to cook them to eat them. Another good thing to grow is rice. Another good thing as well, there is a thing called Zerigium. Now, I believe that that is to do with their medical supplies, so we definitely need some of that. Trees. We don't really need any trees. We've got plenty of trees growing. So it's really just things for them to eat at the moment. Ah, yes, I think we will also need some cotton. Don't need hops at the moment. I don't think we need flowers at the moment. So I'll just make this last one. I'll just leave that to be a potato plantation as well. So there we are. That's our farm sorted out. And hopefully they'll start working on that very shortly. Off you go. And you can see they've already started building the walls here. And they've started storing the steel that came down with them in the ship. And what I'm going to do is just up the speed of the game so that they'll carry on with that a little bit quicker. And I think that once we've done that, we've got the storage all done, and I can see people starting to plant things in the field. Fantastic, that's all happening there. They're just clearing out the trees and planting a few things down there. And I think that's probably a good time to just pause the game and end the episode. Episode even. Sorry, so I hope you liked the video, and if you did, then please leave me a thumbs up in the section below. And if you do want to see more of Rimworld or any of the other series on my channel, then please subscribe, it'll help me out a lot. Thank you ever so much for joining me today, and I hope I'll see you next time. But in the meantime, look after yourselves and keep being awesome.